astrologer Wonder Girl, taking you to new heights. Here's your weekly forecast for the week of Monday, July 24th to Sunday, July 30th. This is my general forecast for all signs. Okay, I do this every week. This is kind of just like what I consider like the book end or like the capstone on like all my weeklies that I do, because it gives you the bigger perspective of what is going on in the sky. Okay, when I do your weeklies, I get down into the nitty-gritty, I look at the details. I don't always show you what is happening in the big picture, okay? And I think that a lot of times the big picture has a lot of missing pieces that can help you fill in and make sense of what's going on in life, okay, as we come into a lot of this. And so that's what I do here. I know that the planets hit us all differently. I know that they do. That's what I talk about in the weeklies, but there's also a very similar element to all this stuff that goes on, and that's what we talk about here. We're all humans. All right, what's going on? And the astrology this week really is that we just came off of a new moon in Leo, a major new beginning, especially conjunct Mars, super powered about what it is we really want, you know, where it is our life is going. Just like extra new beginnings, passion, motivation to really move forward and do what it is that we want and that we love in a really, really big and excitable way, okay? We may even be a little bit more aggressive about this new beginning than we need to be, but I think it's coming in, and it's coming in fast, and we're excited about it, and we want it to happen, okay? I think it's important to note now, because I didn't say this during each of my weeklies that I did for the sign, but this is like part one of like a part two beginning, okay? And it's like a major part one because Mars is there making this new beginning really big, but we have the solar eclipse that's going to finish out here in the same sign. I mean, granted, it's going to be at the very end of the sign, and it could actually fall in a different house for some of you there, but we're having a big new beginning that's going to come, the part two, later on in August at the new moon solar eclipse, okay? So what's happening now is just like a small glimpse of like what is to come later on as we move forward, okay? So I think we've got this new beginning we're beginning to step into this week, and I think we're really trying to think about this new beginning, about where life is going, about some new chapters that are coming into us to really get our perspective right and figure out how we can think about things in the right way moving forward. I think there may be some unexpected insights that come to us, some unexpected news perhaps that we weren't planning on, to really help us move forward and superpower this new beginning to give us kind of even more motivation and more insights that we need. I don't think that this unexpected thing is going to be as jarring as it was last week. Last week we had the Sun and Mars making squares to Uranus and trines to Chiron, okay, which makes it a little bit harder. Squares are harder, and Chiron's not the easiest planet to deal with, but this time Mercury is in a different place making a trine to Uranus. It's not touching Chiron, so I don't think that the unexpected stuff that comes up this week is going to be as hard or as jarring as it was last week. A matter of fact, I think the unexpected stuff that comes up this week is really going to fuel you in a really positive way to get some insights and break through some things that have been holding you back, okay? So I think that's really good what's going on there. While all that's happening, that we're getting these insights, these new beginnings moving forward of part one of the two-part beginning, okay, I think we're having to make a lot of choices about what we want, about what we value, about what we can realistically do and build on in a solid way, okay? That's because we have Venus coming into an opposition with Saturn, all right? And we should have felt some of this last week because the moon moved into this spot last week before Venus did, all right? Kind of preparing us and like, you know, getting us ready for some of these choices that we were gonna have to make, okay? And these choices for us are gonna be a lot about what we want, okay? And what we value and things like that, and some kind of commitment that we need to make, okay? I don't think these choices are new either, because we've had like almost every planet in the zodiac has gone through this point and has opposed really, you know, Saturn bringing up some of these choices, but this is one of the last choices we're really gonna have to make to readjust our life, to move it in the right direction, to get on board with things. And I think this is the week we're having to make some of these final choices about what we like, about what we value, about what makes us happy in some way. I think these choices are very, very hard because we have Saturn bringing us in one direction. Saturn wants us to do something new. It's in Sagittarius. It likes to do something new, wants to bring more adventure into our life and do something different that we've never done before, or travel, study, like something else. And we've got the whatever planet that opposes it. This time it's Venus wanting to stay in the familiar, wanting to do what you're familiar with, wanting to do what you're close to, not perhaps change things, you know, wanting to stay with what it is that you're comfortable with. And I think a lot of times the choice here becomes, do you do the new thing that you need to commit to, that your life is is going in that you've been thinking about for the past few months? Or do you do the familiar thing? And do you stay do you play it small? Or do you let yourself go big? Okay, and I think that's a choice that you're facing this week, is small or big. Small or big, you know, stay home and familiar into what you know, or to move forward into some new exciting adventure that you really need to go in and that you've been really working hard for, and that may be a little difficult for you to move in that direction. So I think a lot of that is coming up, that kind of thing. The choice that you're going to have to make, because this is Venus, and because it is in in the solar third house of Gemini, I think a lot of these choices you're gonna have to make are about finances and about relationships. You have some financial situations that you're comfortable with, you know, or some relationships that you're comfortable with, or perhaps some values that you've always had. And I think you may have to let go of some existing financial situations, some existing relationships perhaps in some way, or some things that you're just familiar with that you enjoy, so that it is that you can kind of go into this new direction, do something else that you know you need to commit to, okay? And I think it could be hard to let go of some of those things that you're familiar with and comfortable with in order to go in this new direction, okay? Now, if you don't have to compromise or get rid of some of those things, then I think a lot of the lesson is balance as well. How can you balance what you're familiar with, what you're comfortable with this new thing, okay? And do it in a really strategic manner, all right? So that you aren't staying too much in what's comfortable and you aren't going too much in what is new, but kind of doing it in a way that is more, that can last, and easing yourself into it too. So I think there's an element of that going on. Of course, while we're making these choices, Venus is squaring Chiron, so we're not feeling super comfortable about some of these choices that we're making in some way, but I think we're trying to overcome some things. I mean, every planet has also kind of moved past Chiron as well, and this square to Chiron too that Venus is coming through. So I think we're ending this really hard time as well of insecurity, especially about some things that are going on inside us, about some emotional or spiritual states too. I think we're trying to overcome that. Chiron too is at the very, very end of Pisces as well. So we're starting to get rid of all this internal baggage about things from the past, about things inside us, so that we can also move forward into a new identity too as well. So I think we're just, you know, maybe feeling uncomfortable about some choices we're having to make also, but at the same time learning how to overcome them and realizing that we can beat these insecurities. We have beat them time and time again this year, and we can do it again, okay? So that's what's going on there. And once we make this choice, that's when our opportunities are going to open up, because Venus here in this opposition with Saturn is sextiling Uranus and Mercury too. So once you make a choice, all right, it's like then you're going to have, the doors are going to open for you to get more insights, to be more free, to be more yourself, to reach some of your goals, and to think more clearly about what it is that's going on, about what you want, about what you value, and that kind of thing, okay? So I think that's going to be very, very important. All right, while that's happening, okay, as it's going on, we also have Mercury moving into Virgo as well, giving us some extra analytical power, like boosting our brains to help us process all this stuff that's going on, all these choices that we're making, this new beginning, these insights, to help us make sense of all of that too. So I think our brains are starting to like power on to start to think about the nitty-gritty and the details and put all this stuff together too. I think it's important to note though, Mercury is going to go retrograde here soon. So even though we're have a lot of mental energy, we're starting to think about things, get insights, put them in perspective, we're gonna have to still rethink all of these things, okay? We're entering a phase with Mercury where we need to think really seriously about our life. We need to process it. We need to get all the details in order, focus on the details of where our life is going, of some of these choices that we're making, okay? To make sure we're doing the right thing, and we're gonna be doing that for like, what, another few months or so, really trying to make sure that what we're doing now is right for us, is solid, that all the details are in order. So even though we're thinking about things and about life in a very practical way, we're going to be doing that for a while and going over some things and coming back and that and all that stuff. Okay, so that's going on. And then finally, the last thing I want to mention is that while this is happening, we also have at the very end of the week, Pluto coming into a square with Jupiter, all right? I think I did this earlier in the year. And what this square is saying is that we've had so many changes, and I've mentioned this so long, that we've had a lot of changes that have come to us in our life lately, and just the foundations of our life, where our life is going, where we see our life heading. And I think, you know, and I mentioned this before, we ended that time of change. We're no longer changing our life anymore. And I think when this aspect comes in, it's gonna say, okay, I get it. You have ended this time of change. We had a full moon on top of Pluto about a month ago. And so I think with this square at the end of the week, what the message really is okay, your life has changed. You know your life has changed. You're not changing your life as much anymore as you have been the past few months and years. How can you take what has changed, take all this crazy intensity, and how can you build on it and make something good from it and move it in the direction that you want? Whether or not it was what you wanted, whether or not is where you thought your life was going, how can you finally start to make sense of it to move forward? Okay, so I think that's kind of where we're going to end the week after some of these choices have come up about life and this new beginning and things like that. And of course, that'll carry over on into next week, where we'll probably talk more about that then and in my dailies. Okay, so that's all I have for you. Now, your card for the week is the Page of Cups, upright. Oh, sorry, reversed, duh. Look, this card is reversed. And what's going on here is I think something emotionally isn't working out for us in some way. We wanted some kind of emotional new thing to happen. Big emotional chapters feel really, really good and great. And I feel like this week, we're not feeling super idealistic or romantic or lovely about where life is headed this week. Maybe feeling like, things didn't turn out that right. We had this really grand vision, beautiful romantic vision of our future that is not here. Okay, and I think you need to realize, just because your life isn't as beautiful or picturesque as you wanted it, just because your life doesn't match some like movie version you had of it, doesn't mean that it's not good for you, doesn't mean that it's not giving you the things that you need, even if it isn't the things that you want. Okay, and so I think that's really what's going on, is don't be upset if your life doesn't look like a movie, if your life doesn't look like a dream, like what you always dreamed your life would be. There's still good things there. You're still moving in the right direction. You're still getting what you need, even if it doesn't feel quite right. And just accept that and be okay with that, okay? And learn to love what you have right here, right now, in the moment, okay? So that's all I got for you this week. Thank you so much for watching my forecast. If you like it, please like it on Facebook, like it on YouTube, share it with your friends, and I will talk to you later today. By the way, thank you to everyone that subscribed to my channel in the past week. I really appreciate that, and I thank you so much, and I hope you like what you find here.